All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about Freud and Nietzsche,
Two big names.
huge names in the world of thought, and they both had some pretty interesting things to say about human nature and
Yeah.
morality and all sorts of things.
A lot of overlap.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking at a book. It's called Freud and Nietzsche
Okay.
by Paul Laurent, and
Sounds dense.
it's a very academic book.
Uh-huh.
But we're gonna try to distill some of the key ideas for you guys, and and see if we can find some of those unexpected connections between these two thinkers.
Right, because they weren't exactly, writing letters to each other.
Right.
It wasn't like a Freud-Nietzsche.
No. But there's some really interesting parallels.
Interesting parallel.
Contrasts in their thinking about things like morality,
Uh-huh.
guilt, even dreams.
Okay.
And one of the things we'll touch on is this concept of the death drive,
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
which is
That's a fun one.
really fascinating.
Yeah.
So have you ever considered like the hidden forces that shape your thought and actions?
Every day.
I mean, this is something that both Freud and Nietzsche really spent a lot of time thinking about.
Right, and I think one of the things that makes them so interesting is that they approach this question from such different angles.
Totally different.
You've got Nietzsche the philosopher,
Yeah.
challenging all of our assumptions about morality and how we should live.
Right.
And then you've got Freud,
The psychoanalyst.
the psychoanalyst, like delving into the depths of the mind,
Yeah.
trying to understand these unconscious drives and desires.
Right. It's like
So it's not a simple case of, one influencing the other directly.
Yeah.
It's more like this intricate dance of ideas.
Yeah. So where do we even begin?
Well, I think a good place to start is with Freud's own discovery of Nietzsche's work. Freud once wrote about finding words in Nietzsche for things that he himself couldn't express.
Oh, wow.
Like Nietzsche was providing a language for concepts that Freud was grappling with.
That's so interesting. So it's almost like Nietzsche was laying the groundwork
In a way.
without even realizing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one of the key concepts that resonated with Freud was this idea of the transvaluation of values,
Okay.
which is this Nietzschean idea that, our values are not fixed and eternal,
Right.
but they're constantly being reevaluated and reinterpreted.
Okay.
And Freud saw this as a way to understand how our minds kind of reshape and reinterpret things.
Especially in dreams.
Especially in dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Nietzsche provided this framework for understanding
It's the illogical world.
this seemingly illogical
Unconscious.
world of the unconscious.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just find it so fascinating that, Nietzsche, without specifically focusing on the unconscious, he's using language that later becomes so central to Freud's work.
Yeah.
It's almost like there were these ideas floating around
In the air?
in the intellectual air.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that Freud was able to crystallize later on.
Yeah.
But they were very different personalities, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Freud, for example,
Yeah.
was famously skeptical of romanticism.
Yeah.
He even disliked music.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't a big music fan,
Wow.
which is a stark contrast to Nietzsche,
Oh, yeah.
who, embraced music.
I mean, he practically reveled in it.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if Freud's, more analytical approach, breaking things down to their core components,
Right.
if that influenced his kind of skepticism towards something as
Possibly.
emotional and subjective as music.
Possibly.
Did he see it as something that defied that kind of systematic analysis?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it really speaks to a fundamental difference in their temperaments.
Yeah.
And this difference becomes even more apparent when we look at their approaches to the concept of instinct,
Okay.
which is something we're going to...
Let's delve into that.
Yeah, let's...
Yeah. How did these two guys approach the concept of instinct?
Yeah, because they were both fascinated by it.
But they tackled it from very different angles.
Very different angles.
Okay.
So Nietzsche's view of instinct,
Yeah.
which he called tribe, which is often translated as drive,
Okay.
was very much connected to his ideas of the will to power
Okay.
and the Dionysian impulse.
The Dionysian impulse, right?
He saw instinct as this primal creative force.
Yeah.
Driving us towards self-realization.
It's almost like this raw energy that needs to be expressed. Exactly. And then you have Freud, who, with his more scientific background, had a totally different take, didn't he?
Yeah, he used the term pulsion. And he was very much influenced by the physics and physiology of his time.
Right.
So he envisioned it as this more mechanical system.
Okay.
Kind of a force or pressure that influences our actions.
So it's almost a more clinical interpretation?
Much more clinical.
Yeah. Wow. So we see two really different perspectives on instinct here. But do you think that maybe these approaches, despite their differences, could actually complement each other?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, both.
I think the fiery artistic lens and the clinical analysis.
Yeah.
To really get a full picture.
For example, Nietzsche's concept of the Nachtrieb.
Oh, yeah.
Or the afterdrive, which shows how our instincts can linger and transform.
Right.
I mean, that's a fascinating concept that I think kind of
bridges the gap.
Yeah, bridges the gap a little bit between their thinking.
I think you're right. I think despite their differences, they both used instinct as a way to understand
human motivation
and behavior.
Yeah.
And that's a crucial common thread, I think, for understanding their broader philosophies.
Yeah. And it makes me think that maybe we need both of those things. We need that, that broad Nietzschean philosophical kind of,
stroke, and you need that Freudian detail.
Exactly.
To really understand what's going on.
Okay, so let's move on to another area.
Okay.
Where they both
where they intersect
and diverge.
Yeah.
And that's their thoughts on sexuality.
Okay.
They were both intensely interested in it.
Yes, very much so.
But their interpretations of its role in human life were quite different.
Yeah, Nietzsche had this radical view of sexuality as something that could actually elevate us.
Bring us closer to
the
summit of the human spirit.
The human spirit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so that's very different from Freud's view.
Yeah.
Because didn't he focus more on...
He was much more focused on...
the potential conflicts?
Yep.
And pathologies arising from sexual impulses?
Conflicts, the pathology.
It seems like he saw it as a very powerful force.
Oh, yeah.
That society needs to manage and channel.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Carefully.
It needs to be controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so their contrasting views on morality...
Okay.
kind of further highlight this divide, don't they?
Yeah.
So let's talk about their ideas on morality. Oh. How did they approach this concept?
Well, Nietzsche was a fierce critic of traditional morality.
Okay.
Especially what he called
resentment.
Yeah. And he believed that a lot of what we consider good and evil stems from resentment and envy.
Yeah. Envy.
Particularly from the powerless.
Towards the powerful.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
So he was saying that morality is often used as a tool.
For control. Way to limit
individual expression. And the will to power. Yeah.
He saw it as a way to kind of
keep people in line.
Keep people down, keep people in line.
Yeah, and this ties back to his critique of modern culture,
right,
which he saw as
stifling individuality
and creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Freud, while not as openly critical of morality as Nietzsche, he also explored its potential downsides.
Yes, he did.
Didn't he?
Yes.
His concept of the superego.
Oh, yeah.
That internalized voice of societal norms and authority.
Right.
I mean, that's fascinating in this context.
Yeah, it's like
he's saying that we internalize
those moral pressures.
Moral pressures, yeah.
And create this kind of internal police force.
Yeah.
That can be
just as restrictive as any external authority.
Do you think that this could be seen as kind of a psychological parallel?
Ooh, that's interesting.
To Nietzsche's idea of resentment?
Yeah.
Like a kind of internalized depression.
That's a very insightful connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both grappling with this idea that morality, while necessary for a functioning society, can also become a source of
conflict
and repression.
Yeah.
And it raises some interesting questions for us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, good questions.
Yeah, if morality is so intertwined with power dynamics and social control, how can we develop an ethical framework
that supports
individual
flourishing?
Yeah. without descending into chaos.
Right.
I mean,
that's the challenge.
The challenge.
Yeah.
And I think both Freud and Nietzsche offer some valuable insights.
They do.
Even if their answers are complex.
And unsettling.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we delve further into their views on culture and civilization, I think it's time we explore another fascinating area. Where their thoughts converge.
Right.
And that's dreams.
Dreams.
Let's enter the world of dreams.
Okay.
Both Freud and Nietzsche were intrigued by dreams.
Yeah.
But they offered vastly different interpretations.
Very different.
So for Nietzsche, dreams were a kind of regression to a more primal way of thinking.
Okay.
Connected to his idea of the eternal recurrence.
Right.
So, imagine experiencing your life over and over again. Exactly as it is.
Yeah.
Nietzsche believed that dreams could offer
a glimpse
into this eternal cycle.
A
way to connect with those
deepest, timeless forces within us.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
How does that contrast with Freud's more clinical view?
So Freud
famously saw dreams as wish fulfillments.
Wish fulfillment.
Yeah, a disguised expression of repressed desires.
It's almost like...
He believed they held the key
to
unlocking the secrets of the unconscious mind.
Like
a secret code.
Yeah, a secret code waiting to be deciphered.
Yeah.
So Nietzsche saw dreams as a gateway to the eternal.
Right.
And Freud saw them as a window into our
hidden selves.
Yeah. Both very different.
Yeah.
But both valid interpretations in a way.
I think so.
Yeah. They highlight the richness and complexity.
The richness that
it's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we can use their contrasting views to better understand our own dream experiences.
Yeah.
Maybe discover hidden meanings and motivations.
That we weren't aware of.
That we weren't aware of before.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
Are dreams trying to tell us something profound about the universe? Or are they simply a reflection of our...
deepest desires.
And
anxieties.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of both. Okay, so to bring this back to the larger themes of our deep dive.
Yeah, let's shift gears.
A little bit.
And explore how Freud and Nietzsche viewed the impact of culture and civilization on the individual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how did these two thinkers see the relationship between individual and society?
Well, they both recognized
the importance of civilization.
Yeah. But they also saw
its potential
to be oppressive.
Yeah. So Nietzsche was particularly critical.
Yeah, very critical.
Of modern culture,
yeah.
He felt it was leading to a decline in individuality.
And what he called vital energy.
Yeah. And he contrasted this with...
the ancient Greeks.
Greeks.
Who he saw as embodying a much more life-affirming spirit.
Really?
More in tune with their instincts and their passion.
So for Nietzsche, modern society was creating a kind of
herd mentality,
suppressing
individual
potential and leading to a bland
conformity.
Yeah.
He worried that
the emphasis on
reason and logic
was
coming at the expense of
the creativity
and passion.
Those essential
Dionysian forces
that
he believed were so vital
for human flourishing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did Freud view this tension between individual needs and the demands of civilization?
Well, Freud,
yeah,
while maybe not as critical as Nietzsche,
right,
he also acknowledged this inherent tension between the individual and society.
He famously wrote about the discontents of civilization. Arguing that repressing our instincts in order to live in a structured society inevitably leads to frustration and neurosis.
Yeah.
I mean, this makes me think about how we navigate these tensions in our own lives.
Right.
We're constantly bombarded with
societal
expectations and demands.
Yeah.
But we also yearn for individual expression and fulfillment.
Expression and fulfillment. It's a balancing act.
Balancing act, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And Freud believed that work played a crucial role in this balancing act.
Okay.
He saw it as a way to channel our instincts
okay.
into productive and socially acceptable outlets.
So while Nietzsche might have seen work as potentially stifling to individual creativity, Freud kind of viewed it as this
necessary mechanism
for
integrating
our primal urges
into a functional society.
Wow. So it's like for Freud, work was a form of
sublimation, a way to transform those raw, potentially destructive impulses into something constructive and beneficial for both the individual and the community.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this brings us to another intriguing point of comparison, and that is their views on religion.
Religion.
Nietzsche famously declared
the death of God.
Yeah. He saw traditional religion as a crutch. That weakened our
will to power.
Yeah. And prevented us from embracing
the fullness
of human
experience. Yeah.
He believed that relying on a higher power
robbed us
of the responsibility and the opportunity
to create our own values and meanings.
And Freud,
ever the psychoanalyst,
had a very different
interpretation. He saw religion as a
collective neurosis
stemming from
the Oedipus complex.
So
he believed it was a way to cope with the anxieties and insecurities of childhood. Like projecting our unresolved conflicts onto
a father figure.
In
the sky.
You
know, that classic Freudian move.
So they both saw religion as a way of dealing with those big existential anxieties.
The big questions.
But Nietzsche was urging us to
forge your own path.
Yeah. And Freud was kind of seeing it as this
deeply ingrained psychological response. Yeah.
It's amazing how they both landed on religion as such a key part of the human experience. And their views on religion really reflect their broader philosophical stances,
don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Nietzsche
advocating for
radical self-reliance. And Freud highlighting the enduring influence of early childhood experiences.
Yeah.
And I think it's also interesting to think about how their own personal journeys might have influenced their interpretations.
I mean, Freud, with his emphasis on family dynamics.
Yeah.
And the Oedipus complex. I mean, he might have been drawing on his own childhood experiences.
Possibly.
And Nietzsche, who struggled with chronic illness and mental breakdowns, was so concerned with suffering and the search for meaning in the face of adversity.
Yeah. So their personal struggles definitely inform their work.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that makes them so relatable. They weren't just these ivory tower intellectuals.
Right.
They were grappling with the same fundamental human questions that we all face.
Yeah.
And I think that's why their work,
even
though it's rooted in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, still speaks to us today.
Yeah. I mean, their ideas about instinct, morality, culture, the role of culture.
All of that.
I mean, feel
very relevant.
Incredibly relevant to the challenges we face in the 21st century.
Challenges we face today, yeah.
And one of the things that I think is particularly relevant is this concept of the death drive.
The death drive.
So Nietzsche didn't use that term explicitly.
No, he didn't.
But
his writings
are full of this idea of a destructive force within us, a yearning for nothingness.
Right.
That is both terrifying
and strangely liberating.
Yeah.
And Freud, of course,
he kind of formalized this concept. Yeah.
With his theory of thanatos.
The death drive.
Right. Placing it alongside Eros.
Eros, the life drive.
Right. And he even proposed that all drives ultimately lead towards death.
It's a return to a state of non-being.
I mean,
it's a bleak view.
Bleak.
But it's a powerful one.
But it provides a powerful framework for understanding things like
aggression, violence, even our fascination.
Or fascination with destruction.
Yeah. Think about how this concept might apply to the current political climate.
Oh, wow.
With rising nationalism, political polarization, even threats of nuclear war.
It's hard not to see.
It's hard not to see echoes of the death drive playing out.
On a global scale.
On a global scale, yeah.
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
It makes you wonder.
It does.
If these destructive impulses are so deeply ingrained, can we ever truly overcome them? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But remember Nietzsche.
Okay.
While acknowledging the destructive potential of the will to nothingness, also saw it as a source of
creative energy.
Creative energy.
He believed that by confronting our mortality, by staring into the abyss,
we
could transcend
fear
of death.
Our fear of death.
And embrace a more
authentic and life-affirming
existence.
Yeah.
So it's not about denying these darker impulses.
No, transforming them. Using them as fuel for growth.
Yeah.
And self-discovery.
Yeah. And this connects to Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch. Often translated as the overman. Right. And it's not about becoming superhuman.
No.
But it's about striving for
a self-mastery,
overcoming the limitations of
conventional morality,
and embracing a life of self-creation. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a vision that can be both inspiring and terrifying. But it speaks to that human desire
to push boundaries.
Yeah. To achieve something extraordinary. And both Freud and Nietzsche understood that desire.
They did.
They recognized that we're not just rational beings
driven by
logic
and self-interest.
We're complex creatures. With deep and often contradictory desires and motivations.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us? What can we do with all of these insights? I mean, we've covered so much in this deep dive.
Instinct, sexuality, dreams, culture,
civilization. It's a lot to process.
It is. So I think the first step is simply becoming more aware.
Okay.
Recognizing that we're not always in control.
Yeah.
That these powerful unconscious forces are at play within us. It's like navigating a vast ocean.
Yeah.
We need to be mindful of the currents and the depths.
To chart our own course.
And I think Freud and Nietzsche,
they provide
a kind of map.
A map.
Maybe not a complete map.
Right, but some crucial
navigational tools.
By exploring their work.
Yeah.
Grappling with their ideas.
I think we can
gain a deeper understanding
of
ourselves
and the world around us. So what aspects of their work resonated most with you?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What new perspectives did you gain from this deep dive?
Yeah, what really stood out to you?
Yeah. How can you apply these insights to your own life?
With your own
understanding of the world.
These
are questions.
Yeah, big questions.
Worth pondering.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to delve deeper.
Into
the source material.
To continue exploring this fascinating
often
challenging world of Freud and
Nietzsche.
You might discover unexpected connections. To your own experiences.
Yeah, to your own
struggles
and aspirations.
Because
in the end,
their work is a gift. Yes. It's an invitation to explore the depths of your own mind.
Yeah.
And to engage.
With those big, enduring questions that have always fascinated humankind.
Yeah, those questions that we've been asking ourselves for centuries.
So keep exploring. Keep questioning. And keep diving deep. Into the world of ideas. That's what this deep dive is all about.
That's what it's all about. It really is.
It's fascinating how they both saw religion as a way of dealing with these existential anxieties.
Yeah.
But Nietzsche urging us
to forge our own path.
Yeah.
And Freud
kind of seeing it
as this
deeply ingrained
psychological response.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they both landed on religion as such a key part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And I think what's also striking is how their views on religion
reflect
their broader philosophical
stances, don't they?
You've got Nietzsche advocating for radical self-reliance.
Yeah.
And Freud highlighting the enduring influence
of early childhood experiences.
It's
almost as if their own personal journeys
possibly
influence their interpretations.
Interpretations, yeah.
I mean, Freud, with his emphasis on
family dynamics,
and
the Oedipus,
complex.
I
mean, he might have been drawing
on his
own
childhood experiences,
yeah.
Struggling with chronic
and mental breakdowns.
Chronic illness and mental breakdowns.
Was deeply concerned.
Was so concerned with suffering.
And the search for meaning.
In the face of adversity.
Yeah. So their personal struggles definitely inform their work.
They do.
And I think that's one of the things that makes them so relatable.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't just these ivory tower intellectuals. They were grappling with the same fundamental human question.
That we all face.
And
I think that's why their work,
yeah,
even though it's rooted in the late 19th
and early 20th century.
It
still speaks to us.
It still speaks to us today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their ideas about
instinct, morality, the role of culture. I mean, it feels
very relevant to the challenges we face today.
In the 21st century.
And one of the things that I think is particularly relevant is this concept.
The concept of the death drive.
So
Nietzsche didn't use that term explicitly.
No, he didn't.
But his writings
are full of this idea.
Of a destructive force within us.
A yearning for nothingness.
Yeah. That's both terrifying.
And strangely liberating.
Yeah.
And Freud, of course, formalized this concept. Yeah, with his theory of
Thanatos.
The death drive.
Placing it alongside.
Eros, the life drive.
Right. And he proposed that all drives ultimately lead towards death.
A return to a state of non-being.
That's a bleak view.
It's a bleak view.
It's a powerful one.
But
it provides a powerful framework, I think.
Yeah.
For understanding things like aggression,
violence, even our fascination with
destruction.
Yeah.
Think about how this concept might apply to the current political climate.
Yeah, I mean, think about rising nationalism.
Yeah.
Political polarization. Effects of nuclear war.
Yeah, it's hard not to see
echoes of the death drive playing out on a global scale.
Yeah. It makes you wonder.
It does.
If these destructive impulses are so deeply ingrained,
yeah,
can we ever truly overcome them?
That's the question, isn't it? Yeah.
But remember Nietzsche?
Okay.
While acknowledging that destructive potential of the will to nothingness.
Right.
Also saw it as a source of creative energy.
Yeah, he believed that by confronting our mortality.
By staring into the abyss.
Yeah. We could transcend our fear of death. And embrace a more authentic.
And life-affirming existence. Yeah.
So it's not about denying.
No.
These darker impulses.
It's about transforming them. Using them as fuel for growth and self-discovery.
And self-discovery.
And
this connects to Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch.
Yeah, the Übermensch.
Translated as
the Overman.
Right.
And it's not about becoming superhuman.
But it's about striving for.
Self-mastery. Overcoming those limitations of conventional morality.
Yeah. And embracing a life.
Of self-creation.
Yeah. It's a vision that can be both inspiring. And terrifying.
But it speaks to that.
To that human desire.
To
push boundaries. To achieve something extraordinary.
Yeah. To achieve something extraordinary.
And I think both Freud and Nietzsche understood that desire.
They did.
They recognized that we're not just rational beings driven by logic and self-interest.
Yeah, we're complex creatures.
We are complex creatures with deep and often contradictory desires and motivations.
Desires and motivations.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us?
Yeah.
What can we do with all of these insights? I mean, we've covered so much.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive.
Instinct. Sexuality.
Morality. Dreams, culture, civilization.
M's culture, civilization. It's a lot to process. It is. I think the first step is simply becoming more aware.
Okay.
Recognizing that we're not always in control.
Yeah.
That these powerful, unconscious forces are at play within us.
It's like navigating a vast ocean.
We
need to be mindful of the currents and the depths.
To chart our own course.
And
I think Freud and Nietzsche provide us with a kind of map.
A map.
Maybe not a complete map, but
some crucial navigational
tools.
By
exploring their work.
Grappling with their ideas.
I
think we can gain a deeper understanding.
Of ourselves and the world around us. What aspects of their work resonated most with you?
Yeah. What new perspectives did you gain from this deep dive?
What really stood out to you?
How can you apply these insights to your own life, your own understanding of the world?
Right. How can you use this information to better understand yourself and the world around you?
These are questions.
Yeah, big questions.
Worth pondering.
Big questions worth pondering.
And we encourage you to delve deeper into the source material to continue exploring the fascinating and often challenging world of Freud and Nietzsche.
Yeah, keep exploring, keep questioning.
You might discover unexpected connections to your own experiences, your own struggles and aspirations.
You might find that their ideas have a surprising relevance to your own life.
Because in the end, their work is a gift.
It's a gift. It's an invitation to explore the depths of your own mind and to engage with those big, enduring questions that have always fascinated humankind.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world of ideas.
That's what this deep dive is all about.
That's what it's all about.